So I titled this live something like "What We Do Different" because somebody asked when I put out a question in our community tab, like what do you want to hear about? And somebody just said, his name is Jim Almeida, what you do different. And I wasn't exactly sure what he meant by that, but I decided I can just take it and run with it however I want to. And so as we go through some of these questions, I want to bring out maybe a little bit of how we do things a little bit different sometimes. And that's where our name More Than Farmers comes from, is that I see the way we do things a little bit different sometimes. So hope to hit that every once in a while. Thank you, Jonas, for dropping that comment that you can hear and see us. That is good to know. Yes.
It's like bothering me. There we go.
All right. So I asked for some questions in our community tab and got a few of them. So we're going to go over those and we'll just talk for a while and see how things go. I really want these lives to build our community. I want More Than Farmers to become something that it's community where people can get together. Yes, you're watching videos on YouTube. You're maybe learning something, but you're also learning from each other, talking with each other. Use the comments on our videos to, if you see somebody ask a question, don't rely on just me to answer it. Answer each other, and let's work together. This homesteading thing takes a community. A lot of people think self-sufficiency means it's something that you can do yourself and by yourself, and it's just not always that way. We need other people. So I was also going to just say, Sean Reynolds also said interested in learning more about homesteading. So in this live and in all of our videos, we want to get across what we do different and help you learn about homesteading. So I was going to let Michelle go ahead and start. There was several people that asked about homeschooling, so I was going to let her just start with that, and maybe just read through that comment right there from Anne Marie Mormon, and just read through that, and then there's a couple more there. You can just kind of go over what those say too.
All right. First question, I'm rather curious about the homeschooling. Do you have a like-minded community to support you? Do you design the lessons yourself, Michelle? Do the kids meet other children during the week, or are they quite happy at home among themselves? Also, I'm curious, well, should I just do the first half of the question?
Yeah.
And then
read that one there.
Is your homeschooling church-based? Do you belong to a Christian denomination? Another question from Maddie. Would love to learn about how to start homeschooling. Did you do preschool, or did you go straight to first grade?
I'm going to interrupt you to say hi, Tubes Time. And check it out, man. I've got your hat on. This hat is from Tubes Time. Tubes Time, friend of ours on YouTube. Go check out their channel after you watch this one. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, this isn't a homeschooling channel, so I'm not going to pretend to know everything about homeschooling. This is just something that we do, and we like to promote it just simply because it's part of our lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It makes so that we can do what we do because we're always at home and working in the garden. Our children help us. So do I have a like-minded community to support me? Yeah, I definitely have other people who homeschool with me. I'm not a part of a co-op at this point because I still have a baby that needs to have naps and all that stuff. And I'm just at a stage in my life where I just enjoy being at home. And so I'm not a part of a co-op or anything like that yet, but maybe sometime in the future.
And just to say, like, the church that we were in the first part of our marriage and when we started homeschooling, there was kind of a homeschool vibe there with some people, but not very much. So we were pretty well on our own for quite a while.
Yeah.
The church that we're at now, there's a couple families there that homeschool. Mm-hmm. And so it is really nice to be around people that do the same thing. It does really, really help. I grew up homeschooled. She did not. That was something we had to work out. And eventually she came to the place where she wanted to do it. So I already had the experience with it and everything. She didn't. So it was something for her to learn basically from scratch.
Yep. Do you design the lessons yourself? No, I do not. We do a curriculum called Master Books that I just love it. It's simple. It's easy. It's from a Christian perspective. So answering this other question, yes, we are Christian. Is your homeschooling church-based? No. I mean, I don't think so.
No, it wouldn't have anything to do with our church. No, I mean, there are a few families in our church that homeschool, but it has nothing to do with the particular church we go to or anything like that.
Yeah. As far as our kids, I think there's this like myth in the homeschooling world that, if you homeschool, your children aren't going to be socialized. I do not see that happening at all with our children. Yeah. There's enough families anymore that are homeschooling that you go to the park and there's kids at the park, like during school hours. And so, our kids, they hang out with kids at the park. They hang out with kids from church all the time. We have play dates during the week with other homeschooling families. And even in the evenings, they do things with kids that aren't homeschooled. And so they have a lot of social life going on. I do not worry at all about my kids not being socialized, not at all. And actually, they are quite happy at home by themselves just because that's what they've always known. And so it's not like they're complaining that they don't see their friends every day. They don't have a hook to hang that on. Like they don't.
And I think that's actually a really good life skill to learn. What I see in culture and some people that are close to us, some people that we know, is like they always have to have something going on, something to do, other people to be around. Yeah. And they're just not good at being bored or being alone. And I think that's a skill that children need to learn. And that should be part of your life, is to learn how to be okay with not having just something crazy going on all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tubes Time asked you, have you heard of My Father's World curriculum?
I have. Yeah. I haven't experimented much with different curriculums just because this is my third year of homeschooling. And I love master books. And so I'm kind of like,
I'm going to say master books, from what I've seen, like she does the main part of the homeschooling, but from what I've seen, master books is a really, really good curriculum. I love it.
Yeah.
The approach they take to everything.
Yeah. I have a very strict schedule. I mean, I wouldn't say strict is kind of a harsh word, but we do a schedule here in our house. The kids get up at 8 and then they have their job lists and taking baths and all their personal things that they do. And then we have school for an hour and a half in the morning and then they go and play. I feel like playing is a huge part of school. Often they'll go out and like they'll pretend the things they learned about in history and science and stuff. And then in the afternoons, they spend like an hour and a half to 2 hours reading. And that's honestly, they know more. Our oldest son, he's 9. He knows more about history than I do just from all the reading books that he does.
Right.
There was another question.
We also see the things that we do on our homestead. So they are helping us a lot on our homestead. And you'll see that in our videos every once in a while, the way they help us with the garden work, with the cows, with the chickens. They're doing all of the things that school is preparing you to do, like the math things and the science things, and even the history things that you learn how something started, where it came from. They're doing all of those things when they help us on our homestead. And like me and Izzy were just working on a mini mountain bike trail in our woods the other day, and he's doing things like that they're learning how to do all those things that school is trying to prepare you for. And rather than just having them sit at a desk and learn something out of a book and try to apply that to life, they're learning it with life. And I'm sure a lot of you watching have some of the same ideas if you're here. So
it's interesting too, because a lot of the things that are that their science books are teaching them, that they're learning and they already know here on the farm. I actually skip a lot of it because they already know it. I'm like, they already know this. So like the first grade science, they didn't really learn anything in that curriculum, honestly. As far as preschool, so preschool, in my understanding, is more like glorified babysitting, I guess you could say. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I don't do preschool. I do kindergarten.
You barely even did kindergarten.
I did.
Kind of.
Like I just made sure that they knew their numbers. They could count to 100, and
but it wasn't.
They knew their
I would say it wasn't as structured.
It wasn't just terribly
grades.
Structured.
Right.
And as the children get older, they sing the ABC song, and they're always counting. And so my 2-year-old can count to 10 just because she's heard it done so many times. So preschool just kind of happens automatically. But I do kindergarten. I do like just a month of kindergarten before they do first grade, just because it makes their first grade book so much easier. So yeah, other than that, like homeschooling is very chill for me. It honestly takes up 2 hours max out of my day, only in the winter time. And because, there's no recess, I'm working with them one-on-one. It's not like I have to have 20 kids doing the same thing. It really is so much more simple than so many people think. And we love it.
Yeah. And to stop here real quick to say hi to Anne Marie. See you dropped some comments there. And I think it was Elizabeth Hurtado. Hi. Good to see 15 people here. I think that's the most we've had in a live at a time. So it's really good to see you all. maybe some of you here have come from our recent video that has now over 100,000 views in the last 2 weeks, which is so cool. That's the first time we've had a video go bigger like that. So we got a lot of subscribers coming in. Really excited about that. Really excited to build this community, and glad for any of you that are watching right now or watch later. Drop a note in the comments, say hi, say where you're from, and let's build this community together. So keep on. I'll finish the rest of that question that Anne Marie asked. Also, I'm curious to know about the chickens. Do they require much special care? Do they get sick a lot or tick-ridden? Things like that. My sister's thinking about getting chickens. She's wondering what would be a right amount of space between kitchen and coop. My niece is 12 years old. Will she be able to take care of the chickens herself? With help, of course. So let's see what I can do to answer those questions. So the chickens are probably the simplest thing that we have in our homestead, which is an interesting thing for me to say, because in one of our recent videos, I just talked about how we're getting rid of a whole bunch of our chickens because of how stressful it was. The difference between having, say, like a dozen hens or something like that, just to have eggs for yourselves, and the difference in having like 100 or more hens and actually taking care of that many and selling eggs, making sure they're all good to take to the store and things like that. There's a very big difference.
Huge
there.
difference.
I separate that completely. So chickens, just a few backyard chickens, super simple. It's one of the easiest things you can do. It's the type of thing that doesn't tie you down to your homestead like a milk cow does. With a milk cow, you gotta be there every single day to milk that cow and take care of it. With chickens, I mean, it's good to be there every day, but if you need to go away for a weekend or whatever, you could put enough feed and water in there to last them a few days. You might want to have somebody come check on them while you're gone or something, but they don't really have to do anything. It's a lot more freeing.
As for the 12-year-old taking care of them, our 9-year-old takes care of our chickens.
Yeah.
So it's super easy.
Last year, or even the year before, I started Izzy with his own flock of chickens that he was moving around in a chicken tractor himself. I had to help him with some with that. But this year, since we got rid of a lot of the chickens, now we just have one flock of chickens. He's actually like taking that over. So I'm still going to have to help him here and there, but he gives them food and water every day. Tirza gathers the eggs. She's only 8 years old. And yeah, I pretty much don't do anything with the chickens right now, which is super nice. It's super good for them, and they are learning a lot through that. Yep. And it was good to see you here, Tubes Time. We'll see you again next time.
Tick-ridden? You didn't answer that.
Oh, sick a lot, tick-ridden. No, not really. The main thing is when you keep chickens, it's especially during the winter, you want to make sure that their coop is not getting too damp, moist, whatever. You want to make sure that you've got dry bedding in there all winter long. Because if it starts getting too wet in there, the manure is building up and stuff, and then they
smells like ammonia.
Yeah, you start smelling ammonia, they'll get like respiratory problems and stuff. But other than that, haven't had much problems besides the hawks that were getting our chickens out of our electric net last year. So we're hoping to do some things to take care of that also. How about you take the next one from Gina Ortega? Thank you, Gina.
Love to garden, but have 3 grandchildren all day, wondering how to keep the mosquitoes off of them. That's an interesting question. I mean, we have some mosquitoes here, but mostly just in the evening time. One thing that I do is I will take a little spray bottle, and I'll put alcohol and tea tree and lemon and, peppermint, and just a couple drops of those essential oils into some alcohol, and I spray that on them if we are outside in the evenings. But during the day, we don't actually have problems with mosquitoes. I'm sure that's a
regional.
A regional thing. Yeah.
Right. We do actually. So in one of the videos I did, I think it's actually the one on our channel page. If you visit our channel page for the first time,
I remember that.
What?
That video where the mosquitoes were getting us so bad.
That was something different. What I was going to say is the video that you see for the first time when you go on our channel page about how we turned our property, took an abandoned property and turned it into a homestead. If you see the layout of our property, we have a front pasture and we have a back pasture. And in between those two pastures is like a swamp area, and it stays wet for at least half of the year. And so that's basically a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So we do tend certain times of the year to have a lot of mosquitoes. But it seems like up in our garden area, it's not quite as bad as down there. And plus, like she said, with her spray, she does that. And Also, this is something that we've not done, but I've heard if you have a lot of mosquito problems, ducks can really help with that. They can take care of that. So
Yeah.
otherwise, I don't know much of what to tell you about that.
There's a question. What type of
From
denomination
Becca
are
Burton.
you?
Technically, our church is part of Conservative Mennonite Conference.
Something like that.
So it's like kind of technically a Mennonite church, but I talked to our pastor and people there. Basically, we consider ourselves non-denominational, and basically we go there to worship and
we worship Jesus, and that's what counts.
Yeah, and that's really cool that you used to lead worship team. I actually play bass on our worship team, so I was up there playing this morning, and I love doing that.
Yep.
Okay, I'll take the next one from Elizabeth Moore. And by the way, we're going through these questions here. There wasn't just a lot of them. There's only a couple more. So if y'all have any other questions you want to ask us about our life, our homestead, or whatever, just drop them in the comments, and we'll try to get those also. We are like yourselves on a budget. How did you save and budget to get the milk cow? We have chickens like yourselves, but cows are very costly in our area.
Yeah.
So yes, and especially right now, I'm part of several cow Facebook groups, and I sell calves. What I do with our Guernsey cow is I use sex semen to get her bred so that we get a heifer calf, and I can sell those calves. And I get top dollar for those calves, I would say. And right now, the homesteading movement just really seems to be booming, and especially the milk cow thing seems to just have really caught on. So yes, cows can be quite expensive. And so, funny story with getting our first cow. We knew we wanted to get a cow, but we were maybe not quite ready for it.
We weren't ready for it.
Yeah. And a friend of ours said that his cousin or something was needing to sell their Jersey cow, and he would sell it real cheap to us. It was a nice Jersey cow that could be hand milked, and it was $500, right? $500, which is really cheap for a nice cow.
It was milking like 5 gallons a day, so it was a super good deal.
It was.
Yeah.
But at that point, we didn't even have $500 to spend. I mean, we were just. I mean, we still are definitely on a budget. We still have to really watch how much we spend and stuff. But towards the beginning of our marriage, we were just like broke all the time. So, anyways, at the company that I was working for, we would get a Christmas bonus, and this one year, our boss decided to give us gold instead of cash, and which was slightly awkward, I guess, because he said, like, when we're ready to cash it in, we could sell it to him. So I don't know. Anyways,
weird.
So we had this gold that we had for a couple of years, and it was less than $1,000 worth or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so we heard about this cow, and I was like, hey, we got the gold.
Let's sell our gold.
So I talked to my boss, and he paid me the money for the gold, and we bought our cow with that money. And that's how it got started. And then since then, we actually ended up, that first cow got BLV, and we had to get her put down, which was really sad. And so then
and traumatic.
I think we actually borrowed some money from a family member to get the next cow.
Did we?
So I don't know. You just got to kind of work with what you got. And if you look around, I would highly recommend for somebody starting that you look around and maybe even find an older cow from a dairy, like go to a local dairy and see if there's older cows that they're ready to get rid of, because they don't usually keep them very long. They still make really great family milk cows, but they might just not be producing enough for what the dairy wants to get out of them. But they can still make really good family milk cows. So I would suggest that also. Jonas, what made you choose to homestead in the region you're in? Do you have family in the immediate area? Yeah. So
Cody loves Ohio.
No, I do not. I grew up mostly in North Carolina, moved around a bit. I lived out in Colorado for a couple of years, and North Carolina, we lived like by the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is like, I think in the top 10 retirement places in the U.S. It's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. And then I moved out to Colorado where there's mountains and it's beautiful and gorgeous. And then I met and married Michelle and moved to Plain City, Ohio, which is just flat and full of cornfields. And sometimes I can hardly stand it. But we did move about 20 minutes outside of that community.
Yeah,
and it
more
is
like 30 minutes.
A little bit rolling, and there's a few trees and, things like that.
It is much different out here, I would say.
Yeah, it is. I don't really like how long the winters are, but I've learned to deal with it pretty well.
But the one thing with Ohio is that it does have gorgeous farmland,
yes.
And it's like raining all the time. So the last 2 weeks have been really dry, and I've been watering every single day. And I'm like, how would it be to garden in a place where you literally have to irrigate just all summer long.
Right.
Like Ohio is perfect
It's
for
very,
farming.
very abnormal that we have
Perfect
not
for
gotten rain
farming.
the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Really nice soil. There's still a lot of challenges, pest issues. We live right by cornfields, which are, we get some overspray every once in a while from some stuff, and that's super annoying. And different parts of Ohio are different too. So like if you go anywhere except Plain City, it's nice. But yeah,
we're not in
a little
Plain
bit
City.
outside of that.
Yeah.
Yes. Aaron Heller, just found you guys in your channel the other day and binging your videos. That is so cool to hear. There's been a few people that have said that, and that just like, I don't know, that means so much to me to hear that. And I'm really glad you guys are enjoying it. And for those of you who are binging our videos, if there's videos that you would like to see, some topics that we haven't covered, make sure you drop me a comment sometime and let me know, and we'll try to do a video for that.
I think sometimes people think that YouTube is like easy and kind of a bougie job, but it actually is a lot of hard work. And like for the first few years, you don't make any money. And like it takes a lot of like sticking in there. And so when we are hearing that people are liking our content, it like, whew,
yeah. So a
means
lot of the videos that you're binging are videos that I made along, for the past 2 years, and that only have a few hundred views on them and stuff. And it's like super, it can be really discouraging to see that these videos don't have many views, but I still tried to make the best content that I could. And now to know that people are going back and watching those, it makes it all worth it. Yeah.
Clay soil is great as long as you can still handle your shovels.
I know a lot of people who have to deal with clay that will add sand to their soil and stuff. In North Carolina, we had red dirt. I mean, like literal red dirt. It would stain your clothes red. And that was very clay. And I have friends there that have to deal with that. And it can be a struggle. But
here, the dirt is black. It's loose. It's amazing. Yeah.
All right. You want to take, we have one more question on our list. So then if anybody else got any, just keep dropping questions in there for us. And hi, Fifi, Honey Blossom from Namibia. Where is that?
Is it Namibia? Africa. Wow.
That's so cool.
That's very cool. I have 1 acre, just got 12 chicks, and build a coop and run. I also have 1 dog, 1 cat, and 1 horse. I have a 2-stall barn, fruit trees, 6 cedar garden beds with veggies in them. I'm seriously considering getting a milk cow or a milk goat. That way I have eggs, veggies, and milk. I'm not sure if I should try a mini cow or goat or just wait for now since I only have 1 acre.
I mean, first of all, what Destiny is doing here on 1 acre is
really
awesome.
Cool.
That's really cool.
I
love to see people who are doing as much as they can with what they have. We have more land than that, but we only have 5.5 acres. Mm-hmm. And so you really got to, do what you can with what you got. And that's just really cool.
That's super cool. I think you should answer that one. I don't know. I mean, we would love to have a goat. The only problem is that like my parents, like our family and Cody's family, they think goat milk is disgusting. And so I just didn't feel like always having to like not serve any kind of dairy or be very careful when they're around. And I guess growing up, goats kind of had this like negative
connotation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't really know why, because goat's milk is so healthy and it's really delicious. Like
if you do it right,
if you keep the billy goat out,
just so bad. And I've had goat milk that we were getting before we had our own cow. We were getting milk. We had been getting raw cow's milk, and then we weren't able to get it. It was their cow was dry or something. So we got some goat milk from a friend, and Michelle couldn't even tell the difference.
Yeah, like it was great.
It was really, really good.
Mm-hmm. And then we've also have had goat's milk that is really, really bad.
Yeah.
And so I think
permeates everything.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is like if you house the billy goat.
It also has to do with chilling
the nanny
it faster.
Goats, chilling it fast enough. You just have to take good
a lot
care
of the same
milk.
things that you do with a cow.
Yes.
But considering getting a milk cow or a milk goat or a smaller cow, so here in Ohio, we have pretty good pastures. We get a decent amount of rain. We've got nice soil, and so we have pretty good pasture. I think I have around 3 acres in pasture, and that's pretty much enough for 2 cows. I have, like we usually raise a beef, and we have our milk cow. Depending on where you are, so if you read any of Joel Salatin, he talks about this a little bit. Basically, if you have really, really good pasture, you can figure like a cow per acre of pasture. But any less than like amazing pasture that you put a lot of work into, it's going to take probably more like 2 acres. If you want to be able to feed grass during the summer months and whatever. Otherwise, I mean, I've seen people that keep cows that just, feed them hay all the time, which mixed feelings about that. If you don't have enough space, if you don't have enough land, maybe you should look into something else. Mini Jerseys, they would eat less. And those are really good milk cows. But goats would definitely be an option. Sheep would be an option. You can get milking sheep. We have never had goats ourselves. They can be really hard to keep in fences from what I've heard. My grandpa used to say that you have 2 good days owning goats: the day that you get them and the day that you get rid of them. But I do know people that really, really love their goats and do really well with them. So I would say if you've got enough place that you can maybe even put like half an acre or maybe even a quarter acre. I don't know how much a goat would take. Maybe even a quarter acre that you can put into pasture. I think you could do something with a goat or with a sheep.
Well, and it also depends like how much milk you want.
Right.
If you're looking for like a quart a day or something, go for a goat.
They can get more than that.
I mean, they can
like half gallon or maybe even a gallon.
Maybe a gallon. I have a friend who was like, yeah, my goat gave a quart this morning, but I'm sure that was probably towards the end of its lactation. But basically a cow is just going to give a whole lot more milk. And if you're not going to be doing cheese making, if you don't have a big family, then you're not going to have a place to put all the milk.
Right.
So
I'm gonna look at some of these comments real quick.
Did you read that? The Africa one?
Yeah. So
that's super cool that you're homesteading in the desert. High five. That is really cool.
Wow. That's so cool. I
Very
love that.
Cool.
Great to have you here too. And I saw somebody commented that they're from Cincinnati, which isn't far away. It's a couple hours away. That's really cool.
Awesome.
Glad to have you here, Mindy.
Oh, there's a cheese making question. So I do some cheese making. We haven't actually we did do a video on where I showed some of my ricotta cheese, I think, but I haven't actually done an actual video. We're going to do a course soon, hopefully, on hard cheese making. It's something with kids, homeschooling babies.
Not we producing a course.
What did I say?
You watching. You said we're going to do a course.
Sorry, I meant we're going to take a course.
Yes.
Yeah. And hopefully learn more about cheese making. At this point, I've done mozzarella, I've done ricotta, and I do butter and yogurt and things like that. But I haven't been doing like actual hard aged cheese.
We've never done a hard cheese.
Yeah.
I bought I guess it's a sausage stuffer at an Amish auction. It's just like, it's a round thing. It's old and rusty and it's got a crank handle on it. And what it does is it pushes down the sausage to put it into bags or whatever. And I have ideas of getting a stainless steel canister to put in there, drill some holes in it, and make so that I can use that to press our cheese. So I've had that in the basement for like 8 years now or something like that. So I don't know if we'll get to use that or not. But
once Eden is a little bit older, she's 2 now, and we're not planning to have more children. So when she gets a little bit older, I feel like I'll have more time to put into cheese making. It's hard to keep on to like fiddly things like that when you have babies hanging onto your skirt. So
yeah, but there is a video where she did go over how she made her ricotta cheese. Was that the one where we ate only our food for 48 hours?
Yeah.
So we have a video where we ate only food that we grew in our homestead for 48 hours. And there she talked about making ricotta cheese.
I think there were some clips of me making it.
But it wasn't an all out like this is how you do it.
Yeah.
We should maybe do that sometime because she can make a few different ones.
Yeah.
That'd be good to pass on. I did want to see Destiny said something about here in Alabama, milking goats are like 400 and mini jerseys like 2,500. I get that. I totally get that. And so, yeah, I would say with the small acreage and with the price difference, I mean, I think if it was me, I would probably go for a goat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We are at the end of the questions that we have. If anybody has any more questions, throw them out of there. We've been on here for about half an hour. We usually do about a 45-minute live, but we had more questions. Do you have anything you wanted to say about any of the other things we talked about?
I don't think so.
All right.
Not that I can think of.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Beekeeping.
Yeah. Planetary Healer. I like your homestead. Glad I found your channel. Hopefully the beekeeping will take off. Thank you so much. I actually caught another swarm at first one I caught was at my dad's place this spring, and I got that one moved into the hive. I had that in the video. And then the second one that I caught was at my in-laws place, and I've got that swarm trap sitting on top of the beehive, and I was hoping to get out there this afternoon and move those into the actual hive that they're going to be living in. So I'm really excited about that. That'll mean I have all 3 of my hives with bees in them. I haven't gone back and checked the hive that I had talked about in that video, in my last video, where I wasn't sure what to do and I wasn't sure if they were going to swarm or not. So I need to check that and see how they're doing in there. I don't know. I don't know how they're doing. I've seen a lot of bees on the outside. And I haven't seen anything that looks like they're ready to swarm, but something I'll have to check on. All right, a bunch of comments just came in. So let me look at that. "300 square meters in community garden, a very small balcony." Yeah, I have never. So actually, the first when we first got married, we lived in a little basement apartment, and we started off with a tiny little chicken coop. They let us put a chicken coop in their yard, and we had like
2 raised beds.
One or two. Okay, yeah,
2.
just a couple raised beds. We actually did garden at her parents' place for a little while too, and some friends. So, do what you can with what you got, and then. If you have friends or family with a little bit of land that they wouldn't mind sharing some veggies with you, offer to raise a garden and give them some veggies for it or whatever.
More videos about what you make.
Oh, basically more videos about what we eat from our own stuff. Yeah. We've talked about that. We want to do that again. That was a lot of fun. So we want to do that again.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about homesteading? I'm going to let you start.
Ooh, I have to think for a second. I mean, for me, my favorite part is gardening. That's always been my passion. As a kid, I loved gardening. I had my own truck patch before I got married. It wasn't hugely successful, but it was just kind of me doing my own thing and having fun. I just find it very therapeutic. Like there's nothing I'd rather do than get up in the morning and go out and water my garden. In the evening, I just love to go out and water things. I feel like I'm partnering with God to bring life. And then that feeling, I was telling Cody just the other night, that feeling of putting a meal on the table that we raised every single element of the meal. There's something just hugely fulfilling in knowing that I am like literally sustaining my family with my own hands. Right. So that's by far my favorite part of homesteading. And also just knowing where our food comes from and having our kids know where our food comes from. Yesterday on Instagram, I saw this post about this woman who was saying that she had people that were upset with her about a video she posted with some steers or heifers or something that went to be harvested. And she said that she thinks it's important, even though people don't like it, even though we don't like thinking about it, she thinks it's important to raise awareness of what actually happens to put food in the grocery store. Right. And so like it helps, in my opinion, it helps to teach our kids why they shouldn't waste. Like instead of just saying, oh, don't waste that. Or if they know how much time and effort went into the beef and the potatoes that we have on the table, they're going to be a lot more grateful for it. And they're not just going to throw it away if they had to water those potatoes all year. Right. So I think it's really good. I really like that aspect of homesteading too, is understanding what makes this world tick. Right. Yeah. So as far as like just really practically, my favorite thing about homesteading, like my favorite part of the homesteading, whether it be garden or animals or whatever, is the cows. Mm-hmm. I love the cows. Like I said in one of the last videos about getting rid of a bunch of our chickens, like I liked having chickens for the sake of having chickens, having our own eggs, making it into a business or whatever. But I don't just love chickens. I'm not the person out there that's just taking pictures of them all day long and talking about them, but I can do that with my cows. I can go out there and just take pictures of my cow. I love talking about cows. I love the milk and all that. So definitely my favorite thing is the cows. And then like the lifestyle part of it, what I really love is giving my children something to have good things to do, to learn things. Mm-hmm. I know that not all of our children will probably keep homesteading as they get older. And we've told them we don't mind if they don't. Like, yeah, I don't want to force that on them, but I want them to have that experience and I want them to learn responsibility. And so I love being able to give my children that opportunity. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a homestead growing up, but I did grow up in the country, and I have so many good memories and I learned so many things just living out in the country. And that's the kind of life that I want to give to my children. Mm-hmm. And so I love that part of it too. I love that it's something that we can do together. And homesteading
It's not like, say, computer programming where you could all sit beside each other on a computer, but there's things that little kids aren't going to understand. They're not going to be able to do it. With homesteading, there's things that kids can do all the way down to little toddlers. You can have them out there picking something. They might pick the wrong thing sometimes or whatever, but you can be together as a family doing that. And I really love that.
One there.
Yeah. So Lady Agrarian asked what kind of fencing we use for both chickens and cows. So the chickens, I was using electric net. I was using the netting from Ken Cove. There's another brand, Premier One, I think it is, that a lot of people use. That one was more expensive, so I started using Ken Cove. That worked really well. That's just electric netting. And in my back pasture, and this goes for the cows and the chickens, in my back pasture, I use a solar fencer because I don't have electricity back there, and that works well for that. But for the cows, I use electric fence. I do 3 strands of wire. I had started out with 2 strands, but I had some little calves get out. That would keep the big cows in, but not the calves. So 3 strands of electric for the cows, and then electric netting for the chickens. And then I also do rotational grazing for both of those. When we had a lot of chickens and I was moving those around, they got moved as often as they need to. And then the cows, I actually have my pasture just kind of permanently separated into paddocks with just 1 strand of electric wire. The calves can just run under that as much as they want to, but then the big cows, that 1 wire will stop them. So then I just move them to a different paddock as they eat it down. And I highly, highly recommend electric fencing for somebody starting out, because I have moved my fences so many times, figuring out where to put things and how to do it. If you know for sure and for certain that my property is this big, this square, and I can put a perimeter fence around it, go ahead and put some permanent fencing in. But especially for your dividing fences, if you're going to do rotational grazing, don't use permanent fencing for that. And I would even suggest not using permanent fencing to start out with on your perimeter. And it's really, really cheap to get electric fencing.
I was going to say, permanent fencing is expensive.
Yeah, and you can just get started in electric fencing for less than $1,000, maybe like $500. And I also I should do a video sometime about it, but I use rebar for my posts, except at the corners I use T-posts, and that rebar is a lot cheaper and it works really well, lasts a long time. So
here's a question. My soon-to-be wife and I just bought 9 acres and are looking to do chickens, pigs, and cows. Do you have any advice for getting started? So my main advice for getting started, he knows what I'm going to say. My main advice is do 1 thing at a time, or even 2 easy things at a time or something, and get really good at something before you go and move on to the next thing. Because what we found here in our homestead is that once we're really good at something, it's just a part of life. We don't even think about it. And so then you can add the next thing. Once you get to a point with one animal where you can just do it without thinking. And then you can add more on. But we got so overwhelmed, burned out, and almost quit homesteading altogether because we took on way too much at one time. And this even can include things in your personal life. We were having babies. We had 3 babies in diapers. I have a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 7-year-old now. And it was over the time where I had those 3 babies that we were adding everything onto our homestead. And it was just way too much.
Well, we were having babies. We built our own house and we started homesteading. We weren't really doing the homestead thing much while we were actually building the house, but it took us 2 years to get the house done. After the first year, we started homesteading stuff. And Michelle has health issues that she's still dealing with from that. She got adrenal fatigue. She got to the place where she was basically just on the couch flat out for a lot of the day and stuff. She just couldn't handle it. And it was me mostly that was in some ways she wanted to do it, but I was also pushing really hard for a lot of that stuff. And I'm the kind of person that I get an idea, I get a vision for something, and I just want to do it. I just want to go for it. And she's the kind of person that takes her a little longer to get there, but we both ended up, going at this thing as hard as we could, and we just wore ourselves out. We were doing farmers market and all that stuff.
And that's the thing, that's why we push efficiency on this channel.
Yeah.
Is because if you really want to do this for a long time, you have to be efficient and you have to make so that things are doable, because so many homesteaders, there was this huge rush of homesteaders over, I don't know, was it over COVID that it kind of started? And now a lot of them are just burning out and quitting. If you want to keep going, if we really want to make change happen in the world, we have to be efficient, and we have to, I think for us, we used to look back and we'd be like, oh, well, all those pioneers in the past, they did it all. But the thing is they grew up that way. They already knew the stuff. They didn't have to sit down and read books and figure things out like we're having to.
Right.
So.
And they also were just working all the time. Like their work didn't stop from getting up until going to bed. I mean, even if they were sitting in the house after dark, I mean, the women were knitting and sewing, and I mean, like the work did not stop.
Yeah.
And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that if you want to do that, but there's also other things in life we want to do. We want to have adventures. We want to go hiking. We want to go to the skate park. We want to go mountain biking. We want to do all those things. And so those are things that can rejuvenate you so that you can actually homestead better. And so it's about somewhat of a balance there. And so, yeah, biggest piece of advice for getting started, no matter what you're wanting to do, is to take it a step at a time and don't let yourself get to the place of burnout. Now, I will say, no matter how little of it you take on to begin with, I mean, maybe one potted plant, but I'm talking about, okay, say you just decide, okay, I'm just going to get pigs. If you've never done anything like this before and you take on pigs, they're going to be stressful.
You'll have a season of stress.
Yeah, whether you start out with chickens, pigs, and cows all at the same time, or you do them one at a time, it will be stressful to get started. I mean, that's just the way it is with learning new skills and stuff like that. We've had some major stress stuff going on, learning new things, but it will get better as time goes on. And we want to help as much as possible with our channel and showing how to be more efficient and thinking like, so we don't have pigs. We don't have goats. So I can't speak to those things specifically, but I can maybe help you think, have your mind go in a way that you can think to be more efficient no matter what you're doing, because that will help you in the long run to be able to stick with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I should try to catch up with some of these. This is the most people we've had on the live and the most comments we've gotten. So
we're getting used to this.
Still getting used to figuring this out here. Thank you, Aaron, for saying that, for the encouragement there. And yes, I think if you want to do chickens, doing laying hens and meat birds, those are so very similar or whatever, that's a really good way to start.
Yeah. And
on breeds, okay, so a lot of people like to try to do the dual purpose breed for chickens. I did that for a little bit, and I switched to doing, I actually end up, might sound bad to some of you purists, but both of the kind of chickens that I use are hybrids. The egg-laying hens are golden comets, and the meat birds are rainbow rangers. So I don't like the white Cornish cross meat birds. I just think they're kind of fat and gross, and I don't like that. The rainbow rangers are kind of in between, where they are kind of in between a heritage breed and the Cornish cross, and so they grow out really, really well. For the egg laying, so what I found was when we started getting chickens, I got all the fun chickens. You know, I got like half a dozen different breeds of chickens. And it was a lot of fun, but they just didn't lay very well.
Yeah.
And when we started doing eggs as a business, I switched to getting started pullets that were golden comets, and that just went so much better. They laid so much better, and it was worth it to me. And I understand the thing about like sustainability and trying to do heritage breed stuff, whatever, but it's totally worth it for us, especially with doing it as a business. If you're not doing it as a business, not quite as big a deal. But if you're doing meat, I mean, I think it's totally cool if you want to do like barred rocks, Rhode Island Reds for laying hens. But if you're doing meat, I would highly, highly recommend the Rainbow Rangers and not doing a dual purpose chicken. One time I raised a batch of roosters and a batch of Rainbow Rangers, and I started the roosters before I started the Rangers. And so by the time, and then I butchered them at the same time. And I think by the time I butchered them, the roosters were like 18 weeks old, and we had them hanging up, being slaughtered at the same time. And the difference in the size they were from an 18-week-old rooster, it was like Delawares or something like that, to like a 10-week-old Rainbow Ranger was just so different. And the meat was so different. The Rangers were so much better. And the cool thing about Rangers, they grow really fast, but they do really well on pasture. So I would highly, highly recommend that.
What kind of chicken feed do you use?
Is it about cows versus chickens that shape your experience towards cows? I'm not sure if I understand that question quite. Basically, anything, I think I get the gist of your question. Basically, anything homesteading will help you learn to do other things homesteading. Although each kind of animal will not take the exact same care, like even the difference between chickens and turkeys. If you're raising chickens, I think they're supposed to be at like 90 degrees for, the first part. I don't follow that stuff that specifically, but I think they say for turkeys, it's like 95 degrees. And, it gets really like specific and picky and stuff like that with some of that stuff. But so not every animal is going to be the same, but one thing that will help, like with chickens to cows, is just doing anything homesteading will help you with the next thing, because there are just like common sense. Basically, common sense goes a long ways. And so as you learn common sense with one thing, that will help you learn to use that common sense for another thing. I think I got your question there, and I hope I did. Vine borers when raising zucchini squash. We kind of just don't combat them. They just kind of kill our plants.
Well, one thing that I do think works is diatomaceous earth. Like I will put it in the soil.
I got to get some water.
I put diatomaceous earth in the soil around the zucchini plants. There's also a spray called Surround that you can mix with water and you spray it. It's like a powder that you mix in water and you spray it on your zucchini plants, and that helps, but it turns your plants white. And I struggle with the aesthetic of that, but I do think that helps. We have a really hard time growing zucchini here just simply because of that. Another thing, you can buy the zucchini varieties that are resistant to the vine borer, and that's going to be your best bet with that. Those are rough. Actually, yes. We did used to sell food at a local farmer's market, but we actually quit. Once I started homeschooling, I felt like I needed to step back because we had so much going. Mm-hmm. We actually did an online farmer's market, and anybody who is looking to sell their stuff, I highly, highly recommend an online farmer's market. It
should be onlinefarmmarkets.com.
Yes.
And I will, once this video is done, I will put a link for that in the description, because it's friends of ours that do this, and it is so cool. It works so much better. You got to kind of do a little bit different setup, a little bit different thinking, but it works so much better for us than the farmer's market. With farmer's market, you would take a bunch of stuff and go, and you wouldn't be sure if you're going to sell a lot or not. You might end up bringing a whole lot back. It's like this roller coaster going on. With the online farmers market, what you do is basically you would have to advertise, find a community, whatever, and you start building your customer base. And basically you set up a drop point. It's kind of like a CSA, but people can actually go on there and choose what they want to buy before you pick it all.
Before you pick all of your lettuce, before you pick all of your tomatoes, you know exactly how much you need. Yeah. And that, because I was bringing home tons of food, and then I would have to can it or put it in the freezer because
throw it away.
Or feed it to the animals, and it was so stressful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's see if we can get some more of these here.
Yeah, the Rainbow Rangers are awesome. I like those.
Yes. I saw that. I think I know what you're talking about, that Talus Blonde channel. I will just say, if I'm thinking of the same one, they do some amazing videography and photography on there. It is really pretty to watch. I've watched a few of their videos.
What's the medication for animals thing?
So I saw a little bit about that, but I didn't actually look into it. I think there's something about some over-the-counter medication that you're not able to get anymore. But for us, most of the stuff we do, we're not getting medication for our animals. We do things as naturally as possible. There are times where I do get some stuff. So it's something that kind of went in one ear and out the other, but I should check into that, because I know it's not, obviously they're not going to take away any kind of ointments and, every kind of ointment and medication, but there might be a few things that I'm kind of thinking maybe antibiotics or something. If somebody knows more about it, they could drop a comment about it, but I should look that up. But for most of the things we do around here, it's natural things. There's only a couple medications that I keep on hand.
Like what? I can't think of it.
One for milk fever.
Oh, yeah.
And
milk
that's not
fever.
even necessarily a medication. It's
Isn't that calcium something?
yeah, it's a calcium thing.
Mhm.
So I'll have to look into that. But type of thing, the way the world is going, do as much as you can for yourself. Kind of the conclusion that we come. Another thing that we feel like we really want to get across in our videos and in our community, as our community learns and grows together, is not to homestead and do things out of fear, but to homestead and do these things because you want to, because you want to build a kind of life for your family. There's things that you should do to be prepared and stuff. In church today, our pastor he's preaching out of Revelation, and he was talking about all the things, and he doesn't go and he says all of the speculation things, those are for private conversations. And so he doesn't say much over the pulpit, but even just giving the idea of the things that could happen or whatever, that, it made me think a little bit. But I'll just say this. I do not want to become a prepper. Like, that is not our goal, is to be preppers. Our goal is to be homesteaders. Our goal is to be family builders. Our goal is to have the life that we want for our family and do the best we can.
And enjoy the benefits of that, but we don't want to be doing what we're doing out of fear, because frankly, that's what the government would like, is to have a whole bunch of scared people that will do
Right.
whatever they want. And so what we want to do is do the right thing because we want to, and not because we're scared not to, basically.
Right. And the thing is, so you can do all the things. You can do all the off-grid stuff you want to try to do. Pretty much the only way to get away from the zombie apocalypse would be to go and live out in the total boondocks all by yourself and somehow be able to survive like that. But the thing is, we are reliant on feed stores, on electricity, and on all that different kind of stuff that if it came down to it, if something crazy happened, we'd all be in the same boat. You might last for a couple months longer than everybody else, but even then you'll probably have people coming and take your food or whatever. And that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But point being is to homestead because you want to, because you love it, because you want to give something to your children, and don't do it out of fear.
Yeah.
And maybe that is a good place to stop.
There we go.
We're almost an hour long, and I really enjoyed this. I hope we'll see you guys again. I have ideas of doing a live maybe about every once a month or so. We've got another video that's coming out next week. We're going to be part of a dairy collaboration. It's already started. It started the 1st of June, and it's for the whole month of June. I think there's at least like 30 different channels that are involved in that. Most of them are small channels. And it's basically June is dairy month. So it's all dairy videos, and there's going to, in our video description, if you search the hashtag June is dairy month 23, I think you can find the videos that are already up. But there'll be a list in our video description. Ours will be coming out next Saturday, and we're going to be doing a video about all of the ways that we use the dairy on our homestead. So can't wait to see you there, and in the next live. Thanks all for joining us.
See ya.